So what's your name and where are we right now?
My name is Charles Harris, and we're on the 1600 block of Western Ave in Niagara Falls, New York.
So what do people around Niagara Falls know you for?
They know me for my community activism, community engagement, and well around being a good citizen of the community.
So what community organizations do you belong to?
To say belong to, I wouldn't say any. I would say join in with the Magdalene Project, community missions. I do work for the Connection Center, which is a branch from Planned Parenthood. I do volunteer at the Niagara Culture Arts and Events Center. There's really no place I won't volunteer with. I volunteer with neighborhood block clubs. There is no place I won't volunteer. If they push a positive agenda, I'll actually push their agenda too by volunteering and helping them out.
When did you start getting involved in community, activities?
I would say my big start was like in 2015 when I aligned with Ezra Scott and started working with him doing community activities, community functions, and that's where I got my first big kick and start.
What got you started into it?
Just not being satisfied with the crumbs. The way Niagara Falls has looked for a long time. A lot of people blame it on politicians, but at a grassroots level, it's like some of this was us and our doing too of how we treat our community and how we treat Mother Earth.
What are some of the things that you've seen about Niagara Falls that you don't like or that you wish that would change?
One thing is the communication here in Niagara Falls is not good. Neighborhoods, they have no basic functions of communications. It's more like what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, you stay over there. There's no community, no unity inside our communities, basically.
What is the biggest problem right now in Niagara Falls?
Poverty. I would say poverty, the lack of jobs, the infrastructure, the dilapidated houses, the blight. But I would say the base thing is poverty. We don't have jobs, and we're dealing with the generation of the haves and the have-nots.
A lot of people from outside Western New York, they don't know that there's any kind of dynamic of poverty or any other social ills that go with that exist here. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
I think most of the time because most people align us with Niagara Falls, Canada. So if you do any type of traveling and you mention that you're from Niagara Falls, they automatically think either Niagara Falls, Canada, or they think Niagara Falls is Buffalo and has nothing to do with New York State or the USA in general.
What I've seen some of your work on like Facebook about working with like different basketball organizations and stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Or
so basically what I do working with different organizations, I'm really trying to cut each angle for these kids and open some doors with them. I work at a youth center where I'm surrounded by kids that are multi-talented. Some of them like to play basketball, have dreams of being in the NBA. You got some that wants to be in the NFL. You got some that wants to be doctors. You got some that wants to be comedians. My job for them is to try and reach out to resources to open those doors for them so they won't feel like they're oppressed and trapped here in this city, and also bring this city back up. We want to be able to take some kids and bring them somewhere else so they can actually get a good vibe of what another city is like, so we can train them to do that right here in Niagara Falls.
What are some crazy stories that you've seen or encountered during work in the community?
Soliciting, prostitution, drugs.
Go explain that.
Well, I work with a program called the Magdalene Project where she caters to women of the night. So we do see prostitutes in the area, which at first I didn't even think we had any, but the 19th area. But I would say they're all around. But the 19th area for sure, you'll see a lot of prostitutes in that area, a lot of drug activity.
Have you ever encountered any violence during work in the community?
I have, but not really too much targeted towards us. It has always been targeted for other people. Like there's been shootings, there's been arguments that we see throughout the community, but it's never targeted towards us.
Who's us?
Like some of our outreach groups. Like we're always doing our own thing, and most of the drama that happens is inside drama, like drug-related drama and stuff like that. So we just happen to see it.
Have you ever seen a shooting?
I have not, which is a good thing. I knock on wood that I don't, but most of the time we're up at Coastal, so I always, I guess, miss the action, but that's a good thing. I don't need that.
So mostly it's like you just like hear about it kind of
Yes, yeah,
situations,
through the
not really-
grapevine or on the Action or Street News, either or I hear about it.
Tell me about the housing situation in Niagara Falls.
There has been some negative pushback between certain landlords in the city of Niagara Falls.
Like as far as what? Like explain. What's the housing situation like?
Deplorable sometimes. We have landlords using DSS recipients just to get rent vouchers.
What's DSS?
Department of Social Services. So Department of Social Services give rent vouchers out to landlords from DSS recipients. But what we're seeing is landlords, or we call slumlords, they're preying on people without knowledge, not knowing the law. So they're getting these people, moving them into houses that are condemned or either been condemned for say something like water shutoffs, and they're moving them in their property, and DSS doesn't really know too much about the background of it, and they continue to send rent vouchers out to us landlord until something happens, like they cut off the water, and then that makes the property condemned through the city. And the city comes out, they condemn the property, and that's the landlord's sometimes way of evicting somebody. They don't go through the legal process of evicting. If they want you out, they'll stop paying their water bill, and then the city comes out because the city condemns the house, and the landlord basically comes and puts your stuff out, and then she rents it back out. He or she rents it right back out. That's happened in numerous neighborhoods, especially this neighborhood in Weston. It's constant. One of these houses out here that's owned by has happened numerous times, all in a row.
And what do you see as a solution to that in the future?
A solution is education. We got to educate our people to understand, like, when you go rent a house, you got to keep a copy of the lease, keep a copy of any document that you sign. You got to keep receipts. Receipts are very, very important. If you find yourself having to go to court, those receipts and that paperwork helps you out a lot. You can win your court case if you pile up the paperwork against these landlords, definitely.
What are some success stories that you've had working with the community in Niagara Falls?
One success story is building my relationship with the Creating a Healthier Niagara Falls Collaborative to do this project that you see on Weston now, to start a community garden and slowly, neighborhood by neighborhood, try and revitalize a few block by block neighborhoods in Niagara Falls.
So where are we at right now? What exactly is this that we're next to?
We're at the Dream Garden. We're on 1639 Weston used to stand. This is one of the resident-led projects through Create a Healthier Niagara Falls Collaborative, in line with Planned Parenthood's outreach program called The Connections. I raised money throughout an IOB campaign to actually hire 8 teenagers as a part of a budgeting plan that we're going to show them how to access funds, use funds, and properly spend them. But we got the kids out here. They drew the dynamics of the lot that you see right now. They made the pathway over here. They made the pathway out of mulch that we use from DPW. They created these raised beds. They dug and planted trees. They planted cabbage out here. We have different type of kohlrabi out here. We have broccoli out here. This was all a grassroots project. Basically, the kids decided that this lot was vacant and it was a big disinvestment to the community, so they decided to make it into a community garden, and everything you see here was built ground up, no power tools, all by manual, or if you even want to say girl power was out here, and they did a lot of work out here. They created the raised beds, like I said, by hand, no power tools. They dug up back here to plant raspberry bushes, and our process right here is to attack a food desert. We don't have access to fresh produce, but right here in our own garden we do, because we have onions, chives, broccoli, as we said, kohlrabi, something that the kids normally don't get, because we didn't know what kohlrabi was until last year, and we had somebody come out here from Grassroots Buffalo and point out that they were edible. So we Googled it, and then we took it back to our center, and we had a good kohlrabi frittata. We have hot peppers over here. We have kale over there. We have green tomatoes over here. And this is only the second phase right now that we're moving into for the summer. We'll have 4 more raised beds coming out. So by next year, we'll have fruits and vegetables out here. Right now, we're we're focused on the vegetables, but by next year we'll have more fruits out here. We may want to get a cherry tree out here or a plum tree. So we're in the process, the kids built the pathway right here, which is cool. They built it out of mulch, so they got it from DPW. DPW gets fallen trees, they trim them down, they give us the mulch, and we use the mulch for our pathway, which has overgrown since the winter time, so we got to go over it again. We have 2 raspberry bushes right here that they're just starting to basically root themselves back into the ground that we just planted. One thing that the kids are really adamant about one reason why the kids are really adamant about this lot is because back here we have a memorial for a kid that passed away. His name, to my knowledge, was Quez. I'm not too sure about the history of what happened, but I know there was a murder that took place back here in this lot, and one of my teenagers that work with me now, that was one of his relatives, and he's very adamant about this lot, keeping it up. So we're taking a negative action that happened in this community and turning it into something positive by turning this into a meditation area, someplace where even like family members can come back here and they can reflect and meditate and pray. So it's something definitely cool for the community and cool for the environment, of course, and those family members that still feel that loss, to be able to see something positive happen for them at this lot. And it's because of him that this is happening, because my teenager wouldn't have picked this lot if that specific thing didn't happen here.
Where do you see the future of Niagara Falls?
So I'm optimistic, and I always try and think positively about the future of Niagara Falls. I'm hoping that we get something like how Buffalo had the Buffalo Billions and see that people reinvest back into their own neighborhoods. I understand that a lot of people lean on the politics of the neighborhoods or the politicians of the neighborhood, but the basic fundings of a community starts with us, the citizens.
What do you think Niagara Falls needs to improve?
One thing I think Niagara Falls need to improve is their gap between our youth and the police department. I work at a youth center, so I see a huge gap there. Maybe the youth in doing something at the after-school program. I want to see more interactions between that, but more interactions with our politicians too. Not to make things political, but I believe that they should be introducing yourself to the kids, because they're the new generation, and more education, better education. Our school system here, especially just in New York, they really don't teach the kids basic functions of how to pay bills, how to write checks. I haven't seen that really in the schools, and how to do W-4s, how to do your W-2s. I think that everything that we're going through right now is just a big lack of education, and that's our biggest disinvestment.
Thank you.
You got it.
That was really good.